understanding what's happening. Okay, great.
I need it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's
Howdy, Paul.
All right. Hey, how's it going?
You?
Okay. I'm just saying hello, hi, I'm Vipal. For folks that are new to me, because this is our first in person, hi. We're gonna, I know it's 35, so we're 5 over, but there's still a big number that hasn't shown, so I'm just gonna hold to a little bit. Plus, I'm still wrestling with technology. But you should, clearly, you've got your 2 screens. When you speak, the microphone is this for the online, and we also record and live stream, and then it becomes part of the archive. So just pretend that you're broadcasting a little farther out than this room. Other than that, I'm just making sure that we've got our tech good. Any questions? All right, you know what, I realize now what I forgot. I forgot people's names. Because in Zoom, I have everyone's names. Now I'm actually gonna have to remember people's names. So this will be a good exercise, right? What was your name again?
My name's Dan.
Dan, have I met you before?
Really briefly at the strike.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never been to a meeting before. I'm definitely gonna have to cut off early.
All good. We'll be mindful of time. And mic check, mic check, mic check. Hi, Michelle. Do you hear me okay?
Hi, yeah, I hear you. It's weird being here, but my kid is sick and I don't know what she's got, so I'm here.
All good. No, we're all good. Let's see. Nikki.
Yes.
Come to the U. Come to
Come
the
to
table.
you. Okay. Come to you.
Or to the N. The inverted U. Come, join. Hannah.
I have a cough.
Okay. That's the coffin gallery. Totally works.
Coffin gallery?
And then, have you been?
No, I'm a new parent.
Hi, I'm Deepak. What's your name?
Hi, Nicole. I'm Molly.
Molly. Okay, great. If you come to the table, we are going to do welcomes. I'm just trying to get a feel for the room and whether we should start. And I feel like we should, considering the time crunch that we have. And Michelle online. Okay, so why don't we start? Welcome everybody to June PTO, our last meeting of the year, but our first in person in more than 2 years. So I'm pseudo excited, pseudo anxious. And so I want to just go around and do quick intros. My name is Vipal. I'm PTO president this year. I've got a 2nd grader and incoming 3rd grader.
My name is Dan. This is the first time I've been to any PTO meeting ever. I have a kindergartner and 1st grader here.
I'm Dana. I've been attending online for a minute, and I have high 5 soon-to-be kindergartner and what do they call it? Rising. Third. Thank you. Rising 3rd grader. So.
I'm Nikki. I have a daughter, Henry, who's in 3rd grade going into 4th year.
And I'm Laurel. I have a daughter who's going into 3rd grade and a son here who's in pre-K.
I'm Checa. I'm a 1st grader who's going into 2nd. And this is about my first PTO meeting.
My name is Liz, also my first meeting, and I have 2 3rd graders going into 4th.
Shauna, my pronouns are she, her, and I have a rising 2nd grader.
My name is Melody, and I have a kindergarten.
Go ahead.
I'm Lori Norval, my children are grown, and I'm here because I'm running for school board for District 5, so thank you for allowing me to come.
And I am Casey Strecker. I have a high fiber, and my wife taught at Bancroft for a number of years, and so super happy to be a part of this.
I'm Tom. My daughter Bernadette is going to be rising from kindergarten to first grade. Hopefully, yes.
I'm Tara. I came up, I think, pre-pandemic once or twice, and Anne is going to be a fifth grader next year.
Great. And then the back gallery, Anna, I'll let Shannon sit for a little bit, but would you like to go?
I'm Tana. I have a current second grader, and next year I'll have a kindergartner.
I'm Molly. I have a daughter going into high five next year.
I'm Shannon. I have a daughter in first grade, Miss Lewis's class, and my son Boise went all the way through and is now at Anderson in sixth grade.
Great, thank you. And then Michelle online.
Hi, I'm Michelle online. I have a sick first grader also in Ms. Lewis's class. I'm not sharing her germs with y'all.
Great, thank you. Okay, so this is our agenda for the evening. We've just gone through welcome and intros. I would like to get a piece of important business out of the way right away, and that is to welcome Liz to the table here. Liz has volunteered to be our incoming treasurer for next school year. Yeah. And so I had rising fifth, but it's rising fourth. So you've got a third going into fourth.
Yeah.
So that means you've got 2 years of our books in you. So, and you're a small business owner, you've got experience keeping budgets. Would you like a couple of statements before we vote? It's a formality, but it is part of our charter that we elected positions are voted on. But would you like to make a couple comments?
Sure. I just heard through my husband Peter that you needed a treasurer. I owned a retail business for 9 years, so I got pretty good at accounting. So I thought I could do it. And I went to school, so that's all.
I think that's all we need, right?
Yes.
We love the school. Those are the two things. So any comments from the floor? Otherwise, I'll call a vote.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes, that's a great comment from the floor. So this is a vote. I know this is our first hybrid meeting where we're actually voting. Pre-pandemic, we only ever live streamed. We never actually had a Zoom. So Michelle, you can go ahead and throw your vote like we normally do online. 1 for yes, 2 for no in the chat. Otherwise here, it's just an aye or a nay. So aye to approve. Aye. Nay to not approve. And we've got your vote on the chat, right, Michelle? That was a 1. Okay. Welcome. All right. Okay, we're just going to go pseudo quickly through this. We now have a treasurer, so we've gone sort of a month without one. Justin was still our active treasurer. He's got signing privileges. He's managing some expenses that have come through over this past month. We'll connect you and Justin to do the bank transfers. Because we're sort of in that gray area, we don't have a full-fledged treasurer's report for the month, but I'm going off of what I know and understand from last month. And what I can accurately say to the PTO today, we are in the black, both year-to-date and historically. We have not overspent, though there have been a certain number of large expenditures for the last couple of years from COVID, inclusive of our strike support activities. Having said that, our year-to-date credits to debits, we are about 2880 over in the black. So if we're just looking at what we've taken in this year through our fundraising, I do want to sort of put it on record that the carryover from the tremendous readathon that we had in the fall has really carried us as a group. And then our spring plant sale, though it's under our historic numbers, it was still pretty high, 4,500 for our take for spring plant sale for the fundraiser. So we are in a good position. So 2880 is the place where I feel like we are before we start to dip into previous year's totals. And not that that's necessarily a good or bad thing. I just sort of want to be upfront with PTO today because we do have a number of expenditures to approve. We also have by email, because we have a system for the folks that are new here, when there are expenditures that need to occur, need to be approved between meetings, we just do a vote, an email vote with board officers. And really, truly, it's with the active members. So folks that are, they may not be an officer necessarily, but they do put their 2 cents in regularly enough so they become part of a big chain, and we just pass it through the chain and over email people approve or don't approve. And as you can see there, that we approved the $100 fund for Ms. Sue and Ms. Lisa to fund the promotions, the exhibition, and field day expenses. They have provided some specific numbers. I believe, Ms. Lisa, your receipts are going to be coming in under the 800, but the tallies might be a little off one or the other under the account. Do you have any comments regarding the expenditures, or are we pretty accurate?
No, we're pretty accurate. When we get into, there's some pictures coming up, and anybody who attended the 5th grade or the kindergarten promotion or exhibition, or that's where all that money went. And it didn't go to us. I mean, it went it went for decorations, it went for promotion things for the kids, and but with Mr. DePaz being absent, he wasn't at school for a few days. We just kind of stepped in and kind of took care of all of those things to make sure that we had everything ordered and ready to go. And so that, because promotion was coming up, so we just needed to do those things. We usually do have a budget line. We usually, that is, but we haven't done it again for a few years. So it's not really,
Yep, this is not out of the ordinary for PTO to support. I think the amount sort of fudges between 400 and 900 historically, and so we sort of came in at the 800 mark. And I think one of the great things is regarding promotions, a lot of the items that you purchased are going to carry over for the next couple of years.
Yeah, they're reusable. So one of the things that we tried to do this year is, I don't know if everybody knows, but there's a helium shortage. So there's a helium shortage, and so we just tried to be creative about decorating. And so we actually found online a way to make our own balloon arches and all that. And so things that we purchased, we can reuse. So once again, we're not using that kind of expense of the helium. We used to buy a helium tank, which was not reusable, and we hated it because it wasn't reusable. And so then this way, everything that we have, like we got these balloon stands, those kinds of things, everything's reusable. So we just kind of liked that a lot better, so that it's more sustainable. So it did cost us a little more upfront, but it's better for all of us.
Great, thank you very much. Were there any questions regarding that particular expense? And again, for folks new, we just try to be transparent with everybody so that they sort of understand that we are spending, with good intentions, and sometimes we have to pass things, parallel to meetings. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to comment if there are any comments from the floor. Any comments or questions? Okay, great, thank you very much. Budget Advocacy Committee. So we had 2 sort of different pseudo groups working on the budget at the district level, basically letter writing campaigns, and the budget at the state level. Tom was one of the members for for both, frankly. Do you have any, I have some comments on it, but now that you're here, I'm going to ask you, do you have any comments?
I was unprepared to speak today. Okay. Just that it looks like, as far as I know, that they're back in a special session and they're still trying to hammer this out in the legislature, but hopefully people are,
Is that true? Are they actually back?
I know it looks like Walls is fighting for one. He's trying to do that, but I probably read the wrong headlines.
Oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm incredulous.
Yeah.
It's not an attack on you, but
I remain incredulous myself.
Yeah.
And so for folks, Shannon is another parent, background parent who is active on the state side of things as well with a cross districts effort. And so we sort of try to partner with and join in and take information that Shannon brought to our families. And so between these 2 and a few other families, we did have a letter writing campaign. There were letters that were written. There were some replies back. Clearly, we all know where we landed. Budget, I think, is being approved tomorrow at the district level. So we're kind of stuck with the budget we have. For the record, we were advocating in the school just under 3%, a 2.7% increase to our $4.3 million budget, just to sort of buy back full funding for our 15 classroom teachers and to represent a couple of other expenses. Now, we took some cuts, and I'm not going to rehash it because this was all part of previous years, but we took some cuts that in the first round and then took a few more cuts in the second round, but because of a retirement within our faculty, our teachers, it actually sort of helped cover some things. So we actually are, from a numbers standpoint, and Diego can give you a better sense of this, we were actually in a better way than we were in March, but it's only because of that retirement. And so moving forward, if we think about this, carrying this over into next year and the year after, we are going to be technically underfunded, even more so than we were underfunded last time. So, but where I really wanted to be on the record for PTO is that over summer, maybe with some of your help in the fall, maybe with some of your help, I would like for PTO to maybe have a continuing presence to advocate for budget, for the district level as well as the state level. Yes, Shannon.
Yeah, so myself and a good friend, Ryan Ramine, who is a parent of students at Seward, Montessori. So we're trying to, there's like a lot of different parent groups and just other groups that are working at the state level. And, you know, Dana and other folks who are special ed parents, I want to be transparent, I'm not a special ed parent. We've kind of taken aim at this special ed funding at the state level as like, we think it's winnable. It could take 2 or 3 years, but it is literally killing our district and all these other districts. I think it took like $52 million of our budget. All of these, it would just be great if we can start organizing, you know, you have to start where you are in the communities that you are and then sort of like work out. As we know, we have like a huge midterm election coming up as well. And so I don't know how much I can say about that, but that's going to be an opportunity, I think, to also just in terms of statewide, because the thing is like we can't just stay in the metro area with this, right? We have to talk to special ed parents and other people around the state, and so that they realize like, no, you're not alone.
Yep.
Actually, can we work together?
Yeah, no, thank you, Shannon. And I'm sorry to say, I will have to cut the discussion.
No, I'm
at this
done.
point, but I appreciate that, and that's exactly, I think the sentiment that Shannon is expressing is exactly where we're at. With the efforts that we did, we showed that there was interest among our families to be active and a little more involved. So I think PTO should give an outlet, and we've got a couple of different avenues. And so moving forward, we're going to just try to find a pathway forward so that families who want to be active, they have a direction to be active in. And so I think that's what we'll do. And for those that are able to stay through to the end of the meeting, we've got a little feedback survey that I think is going to be a little indicative of some of this. But thank you for that. I want to point out, and I know I see that Alicia is on the call right now. I just wanted to point out that she shared with us Native Studies Summer Workshop faculty development. And so I just want to sort of shout out to that, call it out as something, it is coming up. She did share information to our email, and Alicia, I'm not really able for time to discuss it, but I wanted to mention it. But do you have 1 or 2 sentences that you want to mention, and then we'll just sort of leave it at that for now?
Yeah, I just really highly encourage anyone who really wants to know about Minnesota and its history and its Indigenous people to go. I went a few years ago to this workshop and I couldn't speak higher. It's just an awesome training for really anyone who lives in Minnesota. They should go. But there's a really great opportunity within Minneapolis Public Schools to go, and that was shared in the email to Paul.
Yeah, and I can get that information to folks. Folks who are watching the recording, I'm now speaking to the people in the recording as well as the room. If you're interested, email bancroftminneapolispto@gmail.com and we'll share that info out. And Alicia, I will get that on our website. Okay, moving on.
Paul, can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Real quick. And that was also shared with our staff too, widely shared with our staff so that, I mean, again, you know, so parents, staff, I mean, anyone it was welcome. It's a really, really neat program. I wish I wasn't already committed. I would be there in a heartbeat. It looks like a really, really good program.
It does happen. They're trying to do it every year. This year is in Grand Marais area, but next year it'll be in a different area. So, usually it's that last week or, how the weeks that it is this year in June. So kind of maybe earmark that and again, I just love this training. It is so educational and it's not boring. I mean, I really learned so much and I wish I could go again myself.
No, thank you for that. And we'll follow up with intro.
Thank you.
Diego, our principal, is not here today because he's got some other administrative duties that would have occurred when the school year would have ended. So having said that, I'm going to be giving his update thanks to the slide deck. I do want to ask, I'm not going to look at anyone in particular, but pizza's arriving in 5 minutes, so to speak. And Lisa, I know you need to be here though for this, but we just need is the office open?
It is, but do you want me to go down there?
Well, no, we have a check for the pizza guy.
What are you trying to say, Paul?
Hannah, I'm actually looking for someone else.
Yeah, what do I need?
So if the office is open right now, could you go to the
The
PTO box?
office is open because there's people interviewing right now.
Okay.
in the.
Yeah, PTO mailbox. Justin would have left us some open checks, and we just sort of need that for the pizza guy, because that's very important at these PTO meetings. Okay, having said that, this is from Mr. Paz. I'm not going to read it. You can read it yourselves, but I am going to go to the next slide. Or maybe not now. Well, next step.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so many things to celebrate. These were great events for any of you that were here for them. And we have some photos, the school has some photos. Some things are shareable. The Peace March, a video of that exists on YouTube on our channel. So you can come to the Bancroft YouTube channel and check out the Peace March that got vetted and approved for distribution. We will have a video of exhibition that's going to be vetted and approved soon. We have to go through and make sure the media releases are signed, but it's edited. I just have to get approval on it. 5th grade and kindergarten promotions. We know where we're at, because I already made a joke. We're in school still. We've got some camps. 2nd grade market day is coming up. That's where families are, I think those kids are having a pseudo market, and the younger kids have pseudo money, and things occur, transactions occur. Great now. Field day at the end of this week at Powderhorn Park for families that want to come out. Kindergarten through the younger grades have one set, and then the older grades, right? And so there's more information. It's all in the school newsletter. If you don't have the school newsletter, it's on the school website. Family Fun Fest, we're going to have a big discussion on that. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. Here are some photos from promotion on the left, exhibition on the right. Exhibition was great, holy moly. Yeah, I mean, just those kids are so earnest and eager in talking about their stuff. It was great. So there will be video of that. Some Peace March photos. And that was great too. The 5th graders sort of just owned the process. So for those who couldn't attend, it wasn't an adult event that kids participated in. It really was a student-led event. And so they gave,
Our student ambassadors,
Yeah,
our
student
5th
ambassadors,
graders,
yeah.
our leaders,
Yeah.
they planned it, and it was all them,
Yeah.
and which is great. I mean, it was, we know that there are additional things that maybe we as adults would have added, but the kids are like, no, this is what we want to do. And it's like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's a great statement. I mean, you could tell one from the other in terms of what an adult, but the fact is they made choices and they owned the choice, and that was kind of neat about it. So there was very a lot of ownership there. The Jackie Bird Assembly. I'm afraid I don't have much to say about this. Do you have? Because I wasn't in attendance.
This was paid for by Indian Education, and again, it's just another. It was another way to bring it into the school for all kids. So it was. Her name is Jackie Bird, and she did a big presentation for the kids. So, but not just for the Native kids, it was for all kids.
Great. We know that we're here. We've actually had this discussion quite a bit over the last couple of meetings in prep and then right before we went into actual execution of it. But this is, as what we understand, will be occurring during extended calendar in terms of activities for our students. And then families, this is just for the record, families can discuss with the office when they need off because of the extended times. This is big, so I will let this sit. I don't have any background information, but this is something that for folks to sort of check out. These are the changes to next year, and I'll let that sit. And if there are any questions, certainly you're welcome to go ahead and email Diego for any follow-up.
Who from this, Lisa?
Pardon me?
Is this Lisa?
That's me.
I know, that's what I'm saying, like.
Yeah, well, and after we had the budget was already figured out. And then after the budget, my position was one of the positions cut. And so, and I'm thrilled about going into the classroom. I love teaching in the classroom. I was a classroom teacher for 19 years. I love teaching. So, but I am concerned about all of the other things that will need to be done. But I will be very happy to have my 25, 30 kids. You know,
We're happy to have you here.
Pardon me?
What was your?
So differentiation specialist, so I work with a lot of the students that are on both ends, both the gifted and talented, and then also the kids who need remedial help. And then I also did a lot of the math funding.
And so one of the district-wide cuts post-strike was taking away the differentiation specialists in all the schools. And this is an example, and first of all, wonderful that you're staying, despite the cut. And this is an example where a retirement is what sort of helped open a position. So we weren't missing out on talent and experience, even though technically we are still underfunded for that talent and that experience. So, and you can tell I have no bias there.
Well, I wouldn't have been cut anyway though, because I have a lot of seniority.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, but I mean, someone would have been cut.
Yeah.
And if that makes a big difference.
Yeah, no.
I would not have bumped someone. I would have left before I bumped someone.
I remember the days when Lisa was an amazing fifth grade teacher, so Bancroft was super lucky.
I actually tapped with his wife, so. We made a great team.
We sure did.
This is also information for folks in the room and for folks online and watching the recording, just something to be mindful of. I know placement is very much an anxiety, well, for me. Maybe everyone else is more calm about it than I am.
How can class placements be shared in the fall when school starts in the fall? Like when in the fall? What's considered fall?
We get a postcard from our teacher in August, right? Is that memory for me? That's August is when we receive a postcard from our teacher telling us our room number and our teacher. We have no idea what that means in terms of who came with us or with your students. But August would be it. Just some important dates coming up. All right, so that takes care of Diego's update. Thank you for that, folks. Let me just try to get that to where it needs to go. Okay, so moving on. Okay, this is something I would like to try to knock out here. And first, we also have some special guests, so I am mindful of giving our guests some time. I do want to knock out a little bit of business. People may not know, we don't have hot lunches in school for the next 2 weeks. We have turkey and cheese sandwiches. We don't have any hot breakfasts. We have the grab and goes. The school has provided some snacks. I know families have provided some additional snacks because of the extra time. And what we are asking for from PTO is approval for a budget to purchase additional snacks because the school has run out of snacks. The fresh fruit and veggies program is done with. And I'm anticipating, because I certainly know my kid, and I'm sure everyone here knows their kid, after 2 days of turkey and cheese, he's not going to touch that again. So
well, even after today, can I just say that? I mean, like, this is not, like, it's hard, and the kids did not ask for these extra days. Yeah. And so this is something that we can't, I mean, there's only so much change we can make at this point, but with this point, like, it's affecting our kids, and so to have these additional snacks would really be helpful. Yeah. Because even today, when we were passing things up, the kids were just like, they were hungry. Yeah. And that is not okay. Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing, I mean, there are many unfortunate things. But one of the bigger unfortunate things in terms of our ability to act and our ability to make a difference is we can't provide a lunch because there are so many federal rules and requirements and guidelines. I mean, there are people going to jail right now
because of the way they sort of misdid that whole lunch program, right? So that's just too big of a hoop for PTO to sort of jump. The PTO can provide snacks. And so what I'm asking of PTO is, we worked out numbers with Ms. Sue, 300 pieces of extra snacks a day, things like goldfish crackers, pretzels, there's this smart pop thingy, and there was a fourth thing. I know they're all fairly carb heavy, but those are things that kids will eat or have been eating. And so we would like to fund that. But then we'd also like, this is the part where it gets just a smidge spendy, to fund fruit. Now we can either fund fruit cups, which is an easy ask in terms of if we overbuy, they'll hold. But it is kind of a mess in the, the pop them open and you got them stored everywhere. And plus, they are fruit cups. Now there are federal rules about that. The main rule that we're sticking to is it's got to be 100% juice, not syrup or anything like that. And so that's findable. But that is what kind of bumps our costs made from about $500 to the $920 that I'm asking for. But we are sort of discussing, can we source actual fresh fruits like bananas and apples, things that don't have to be cut necessarily, and our students can manage themselves. And if we can source it responsibly, we're going to try to source it and provide it. We might not get fruits every day depending on the cost, but we will get the other things. Are there questions from the floor? Because no problems go.
I was going to say, in putting together an estimate, did you factor in the number of kids who may be opting out of the next couple of weeks? I just kind of started to like.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
School's going to be out, so.
Yeah, no, and that's a great question, and the easy answer is no, not really, because we don't even have a measure of what that population is. Now, not thinking fresh fruits, we're thinking fruit cups. All that stuff will carry over the summer, and we could use it at our open houses in the fall. We could, any stuff we carry. The kids do nail the snacks pretty hard. Now, if we and yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's fifth grade or first grade.
That really is how
Yeah.
It's true.
And in addition to that, we're anticipating that they might not take the lunch. And there are families who can certainly send a lunch with there, but there are others who can't. And even when I send a lunch, so but so the point of that is we do want to give them options, other than just that 3:30. We want to have some extra food, so that if at breakfast time or lunchtime the kid is just kind of refusing to eat something, well, there's something that they might pick up.
Paul? Sorry, Paul?
Yes, Michelle.
Sorry. I realized I'm like, wait a second. I have to chime in. When we're thinking about snacks, for lunches, are there any other food options besides turkey and cheese? Because I know there's usually a vegetarian option too, both for kids who are vegetarian, kids who need halal or kosher food. Is there any sort of vegetarian option? Because if not, there may be some kids that aren't getting lunch at all, and we might want to think about some heartier snack options too.
Well, yes, absolutely. And I think the challenge, first of all, we're really going with what's posted on the district's menu site, which doesn't have anything apart from turkey and cheese. But yes, regarding the other things. And then third, the thing that I am sort of.
I'll check about a vegetarian option. I thought there was.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was.
Okay, the thing that
It wasn't down there.
sort of just managing in terms of line of activity is that we don't want, we can't really reach too heavily into what would be lunch options, because of all the requirements and things that go into actual lunch. But if we stay in snack realm, as long as we sort of fit a smaller subset of rules, we don't get in trouble much. And frankly, this is Monday when it should have started today. So I really would like to pass something today so that we have something funded that maybe arrives tomorrow, but for sure arrives Wednesday. That's what I'm asking for in terms of urgency. Yes, Lisa.
Stu and I also said that, we can fill a cart, at like Sam's Club and have it picked up we could pick it up in the morning.
Yeah.
And if we did like 2 orders, like do one for this week and then one for next week, we'd know better number wise.
Yep.
Which would, I think, because we don't want a lot of snacks sitting right over lunch. But if we did 1 order tomorrow and then another order next week, we'd know, the numbers better.
Yep.
As far as
absolutely.
kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think, and to be fully transparent, I am leaning very heavily on you and Ms. Sue, because you sort of know what happens in snack time, and that's it. You know the sources and the things that have been pre-approved. So truly, I think from a PTO standpoint, short of, we aren't necessarily, we certainly can, but today I'm not asking for us to execute an action. I think we've got a pathway forward. We just need to fund the action to execute. So thank you for that. Are there any other questions or comments from the floor before I bring this to a vote?
I
I just wanted to second the
Yeah.
idea that we do 1 week and then the
Yeah.
next week to not waste any.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yes,
also
we can
just
do it that
so you guys aren't overwhelmed with
Yeah.
materials.
Right.
I know that game, so, yeah.
Any other questions or comments on the floor? Okay, seeing none, the question as I have for the vote, PTO provides enough snacks, 300 pieces per day, 8 days. Supplement breakfast and lunch for students who don't take what's on the menu, as well as to cover the 3:30 PM. This is a normal extra snack time. Our ceiling is 9:20, but if we execute it well enough, we will probably come in under that, highly dependent on what we do with our fresh fruit option. Are we clear on the vote?
Yes.
All right, so for the folks online, I'm asking for 1 for yes, 2 for no in the chat, please, if someone just take a peek. And then an ayes from the floor.
Aye.
Any nays? It's enough to carry, but I am just paying attention to the chat.
Looks good.
Because I'm trying to be transparent. Okay, great, thank you very much. So we will make that happen. And Miss Lisa,
I'm in contact with
Great,
Sue, and
yeah.
we're gonna.
we got a big red snack button. Other, you know, they have whatever the red buttons are, ours is snacks. Okay, thank you very much for that.
No, but we're also trying to be good stewards of the money too. That's very important to us too. And so, I mean, we want to be, you know, but like we need specific gummies and some kids, you know, dietary needs. And so we want to try to accommodate that too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay.
Pardon, the green package one, yeah.
Yeah, the only some, yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And then I do open the floor, if there are any families or parents online or here in person or people watching the recording, any feedback or input on this matter, we certainly will welcome it at bancroftminneapolispto@gmail.com. And we'll kind of connect with the school on that, so to make sure that happens. And I imagine this might be the first check that you're going to end up cutting for reimbursement. Okay, we have some guests here today, Laurel and Lori. Hi. And so it just timed out that as we were planning this meeting, we were contacted and they were running for Nelson Inn's position, District 5, which covers our school, as well as, I don't have to explain this. So I'm going to allow 5 minutes of time per person. We're going to go with, in terms of order as I was contacted. So Laurel and then Lori, and then we'll do a post that, so it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes of joint Q&A. This isn't a debate or discussion. More of information gathering. They also have materials that you're welcome to take with. For the online people, we will share this stuff online. You can see some websites that you can check. And then this is my first rodeo where there is candidacy involved. And one of the things that I was very mindful of during strike is that PTOs and nonprofits, we can't get into partisan. So the only thing I ask from the candidates today is we just don't get too partisan with the talk. But apart from that, the floor is yours. Laurel, you have first floor. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. So as you can see up on the screen here, and I mentioned earlier, I do have a son in pre-K right now. Unfortunately, he didn't get in for kindergarten. We first introduced to this school for my daughter, Eloise, and she is going into 3rd grade now, but she wasn't, this school previously was not a community school. So that's how we kind of got connected and fell in love with the school. So my daughter went to Hiawatha, which is our community school, so just a few miles that way. And that's, you know, been an okay experience. There's pros and cons, of course, and then the next, that was up to 2nd grade, and so she would be going into Howe for school. So really excited to, you know, be running for this position. One of the biggest things that I've kind of, that I guess came across in my time as a parent in, I guess, the school system is just the issues with equity. I'm sure you guys are aware of some of the issues that we come across as parents, and also my time on the American Indian Advisory, Parent Advisory Council the last couple of years.
has been really eye-opening as far as like the way in which the budget is determined and can shift without a lot of knowledge of, you know, even the board members sometimes. And just, you know, some of the power issues that come about from the different communities and schools. So I'm very kind of in the know about like the issues of the school system and really do what I can to kind of intervene and speak up. My daughter has had some challenges in school and has had some, I guess, she was able to get assessed for speech and able to get speech services. But I was kind of told I was on my own, quite frankly, that to get any additional testing. So I did take that on and called probably about 20 different psych testing and neuropsych testing places to get educational testing, and found maybe 3 that could take my insurance and also get done in a reasonable time. We just got the testing back, and this process has been, I would say, at least close to a year to get her assessment done, and we just got it back done. She did get diagnosed with a learning disability, and we knew, we've been talking about it since kindergarten, when she was here actually, and you know, she ended up, you know, with the COVID shutdown and not in school the second half of kindergarten. So I think that thank you. So I think that really, you know, definitely created some challenges in identifying it and getting services. And then when she started Hiawatha, there was definitely some challenges there with, you know, she was able to get into some interventions, but my sense just from, you know, the couple of schools is that there's not necessarily the screening process and I can see this too, just from like a lot of the teacher friends that I have and things, is that they just don't have enough education in identifying disabilities and referring for them, and also getting the support from the school to like refer out for support. So that's kind of why I first, you know, decided to run. There is a QR code here if you want to read more. I do have quite a lengthy description about why I'm running and my platform. So, and then there's just a little bit on the card here, not necessarily my platform, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I do have a sign-up sheet if you do want to sign for your yard, or if you do want to volunteer as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
We move into the second one. I'm Casey Strecker. I am Norwell's campaign manager, and I'm a parent here at Bancroft. My daughter is in High Five, Jade. My wife taught at Bancroft, and we felt the effects of the CBD. My daughter's not going to be able to come to the school. We live just down the road. You don't see my house from here, but where the line is drawn, it affects my family and affects the kids of this community. And we are looking for a leader who can say, you know, we have the CBD, this has got put into place. How are we going to make it work for the people who are being affected by it? How are we going to move forward? Not kick it away, but how do we move forward and make our district better? And that's what we're trying to use here.
Thank you. Thanks, Casey. Okay, I'm so glad you stood up, because I was like, I have to sit down. I'm nervous, y'all. My hands are all cleaning. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Lori Norville. I am an MPS parent. I've got 3 kiddos, 2 graduated from high school and 1 still in high school. And then I'm also a former MPS teacher. I've taught for 8 years in Minneapolis Public Schools as a middle school math teacher, and I love middle school. I gotta say, a lot of people are like, what? So I really feel very strongly that we need a former MPS teacher voice on the school board. I am invested in the future of all of our kids, all of our children, and I will work tirelessly to address the historical and contemporary inequities that all of our children, are facing in our school system. We know that this happens, and these inequities disproportionately impact particularly our Indigenous students and our students of color. I will work to make sure that we are addressing those inequities. I want MPS to be the very best public school in the state.
I want us to make sure that all of our children are getting quality education in every single school, no matter where they are, no matter what their zip code is, what their socioeconomic status is, no matter what color their skin is. And I think there are 3 things that are going to help us get there. The first one is we've got to think about retaining and recruiting our families and our educators. We know we've lost some, right, of both. And so we've got to figure out why have they left. We need to talk about what kinds of exit interviews have happened. I left MPS. I didn't have an exit interview. I created my own because I wanted them to know what my experience was like. So we need to do that for our educators. We also need to do that for our families. Why are they leaving? Why are they choosing other schools when there's a school right down the road for them? And if they've already left, we've got to reach out to them and talk to them and find out. Go out into the community and talk with them about why they left if it's too late to do that exit strategy. We also need to think about our families of color and our educators of color and make sure that we are retaining and recruiting those people to come back to MPS, or that we're making it attractive that they want to come here. Thank you. And we also need to make sure that we are offering culturally relevant curriculum for all of our students and professional opportunities for all of our educators so that they are equipped to teach all of our children, no matter what school they're at. The second thing, we need to rebuild and repair trust and those relationships that have been broken. We know that that's happened. We've all felt it. Casey mentioned it with the CDD. Laurel mentioned it with what's happened with your children. We have got to listen. We've got to have people on the school board who are going to be in the community, who are going to listen to families, listen to the community, and lift those voices and take them to the district leadership. We need to make sure that we have transparency in decisions that are being made, including budget, including how that's going to impact programs at specific schools. And we also need, the third thing, we need to make sure our decisions are student-centered. The school board's job is to hold the district leadership accountable, not to just pass off on things, and to ask them, is this decision that you're making right now what is best for students? That's what we need to do. We need to make sure, again, that we're listening to the needs of the people in our community, that we are advocating for those needs, and that we have that voice to go there. 10 years ago, my family and I moved here. We chose Minneapolis Public Schools because we wanted our kids in a public school setting. And we chose it for its programs, its diversity, the arts and cultural exploration, its academics. I want other people to do that too. I want them to come here and say, I want my kids here. I want educators to come here and say, I want to work here. I want them all to be proud to be a part of MPS. The school board needs the voice of a former MPS teacher. It needs the voice of parents, but most of all needs your voice. I will be that person that lifts your voice. I will collect your stories. I will lift your voice. Thank you.
Great.
And we have sign up for yard signs as well. And I actually have signs here and volunteer sheet. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much. And I'm sorry for the abbreviated talk, but I appreciate that. Let's do a round of applause for our guests. And so the floor is open. We've got, I did allocate 5 for any Q&A or any follow-ups from what any of you heard or anyone online. If you've got any follow-ups, let Shannon go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I would say like one of my biggest assets is on blunt, and also creates problems as well, as you can imagine. So I kind of feel like the school board, even though it's a very important position, is kind of a setup right now, honestly, because of the lack of state funding, which is why so many parents post-strike are now getting involved at the state level. So I'm just wondering kind of how both of you see, I mean, when we were at the Capitol, for instance, for special ed funding day, I mean, I saw like all these, like Edina school board member, the whole school board was there, Robbinsdale, the entire school board was there, like all that. I was actually quite surprised. So, but it does feel like there's this silo right now that do most school boards, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of understanding that that the these are really statewide issues, a lot of them. And so we're sitting here like fighting over peanuts when we have $9.3 billion that's not being used, projected $6 billion. Obviously, we're angry about this, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that. That's definitely one of the questions that I had right off the bat with the strike and with a lot of the conversations that we're having is why are we not accessing this surplus of dollars? It's clear that our schools have been underfunded for so long and, you know, we're really struggling. And I think one of the things that I've noticed as far as like the current school board and maybe, well, I guess, and some of my thoughts are, you know, I think that they're at the point where, or many of them that I've talked to, I should say, I'm not just guessing this book, they've shared, you know, that they, you know, have lost enthusiasm and they're very stressed out about the financial picture, that they aren't hopeful about the future. And I feel like I have 7 years of directorship experience, and a lot of that has been bringing in millions of dollars to fund Native American programming in schools, and just getting very, I guess, creative, for lack of a better word, of bringing in funding so that our schools can function differently. I mean, I get that that's a big pot of money as well there. That's not being, I agree, absolutely, that should be some of it, but if that doesn't happen and if we don't have enough voice there to get that, there's plenty of other federal funding out there that we can bring into the district and improve our schools.
I would just like to add to that, having been an APS teacher and having felt that end of it, I'm going into this with my eyes wide open. I know this is going to be a hard job. We've got 5 people leaving. They've made all these decisions and now they're leaving. So some of us have to come in and fix it, right? And I appreciate that question. And your concern about it, you were talking about, you know, lobbying at the Capitol. And, you know, yes, we need to come together with other school districts and form together. And there is an organization of school board members that come together. But we need to have our school board be a part of that. It can't just be the other school boards, right? And so we need to be a part of that as well. And we need to make sure that we are advocating for those funds. I'm not running away from this. When I left teaching, I didn't run away from it. Like, I had another opportunity and I took it. But I'm not running away from this job or from this opportunity to be on the school board. I feel very strongly about making sure that we have strong public education for all of our children. And we need to make sure, like, we know how that impacts our community, and it's just this ripple effect, right? And that comes from that funding, and it comes from the community work that we do. So we need to activate the board, and I'm very hopeful that with the 5 seats open, and I can tell you some information about a couple of at-large candidates if you want to know when there's time to talk. I'm very hopeful that we can have people in there who will work together.
Because there's a projected like $26 million deficit that I don't think parents and people understand, like, what that's going to do.
Or what it's already had. I mean, every year, this is my 30th year, and it's been for the last 20 years, every single year, it's cut. It's never add, it's always cut. And I get reallocating funds and trying, but we just can't. It is really hard right now.
And to speak what Lisa said, so I would say this, as a teacher, she said she's going back to that 5th grade classroom. She said my 25 to 30 kids. Can you imagine yourself being in a 30-person classroom as a 5th grader? You are not able to give those students the attention they deserve and they need so that they can meet the academic standards that you hope that, and social emotional standards that we're hoping our students are able to reach. So with us at the board, we're going to make sure that those types of conversations are at the board.
Great, thank you very much. This is very passionate, first of all, and I'm so appreciative of all of you. Right? I mean, for you for being here, but frankly for you for actually listening and asking questions. I do have to cut us off though. So there is information. There are materials on tables here. There will be materials online for the online folks. I welcome any future communications and will certainly pass stuff along. I'm going to close this segment out saying, I think you've experienced what our PTO, what our families sort of want to happen in our schools. You sort of see the process that we've got going on here. Whoever ends up in the position, I'm looking forward to open line of communication and as we make some greater efforts with our families, because certainly I think, I forget who said it, but our families are activated, and we want to have direction for that activation to move forward. Okay, having said that, thank you very much. We are going to move on to a topic, but there's also pizza. So normally, well, I don't know what normally. So obviously pre-pandemic, we had we would have meals and childcare, and this was a very social time, and we would actually take a break to eat. I don't think we can do that now because we do have a little bit of working business that we want to wade our way through. So we're going to open up the floor. Go ahead and grab what you're interested in. We've got dairy-free, cheese, pepperoni, vegetarian, and salad. Bring it back, and then we'll talk.
If we have kids outside.
Yeah, are there kids outside? Yeah.
I told them I would.
Yeah.
Represent them.
Yeah. Let's say 4 minutes. Online, it's just a 4-minute pause. And if you need anything from me, shout out. All right. So families, brought over the day just to keep us moving along. And I appreciate that you're all coming out here. So I want to be mindful of our time so that we don't overextend too far. Clearly you can hear I'm not promising that we're going to have time. Okay, so for the folks online, we're back. And you can see the slide deck that we have up. Family Fun Fest is a week from tomorrow. And as a matter of context, last year we held a Family Fun Fest that was a farewell. It was a farewell to our families, so we were going from a magnet school to a.
And it was super, super fun.
It was super, super fun. And because of that, we wanted to try and continue an effort of a Fun Fest annually. So it came up last year only because it was meant to be this big last hurrah. It was super fun. Our families enjoyed it. And I think it's very telling over the course of this year, our families have been looking for more interactivity. So we wanted to make sure we have a Fun Fest, whether it's scaled down or not from last year. That's time will tell. You can see we've already got some stuff arranged. I've got a couple of votes, well, a vote. A single vote is a budget line item that seems to be the only thing I ever vote on these days. Diego has already arranged a couple of food trucks, 2, 3. He says a possible third food truck. Last year we only had 1, so there we go. There's an increase. Food trucks. All right, 200%, 300%. I'm not that person. Anyway, but and then we're gonna have a popcorn vendor that we typically have, except this time because of budgets, Diego's asking that PTO absorb the cost of the popcorn guy. So that's a $250 popcorn fee. And the school does pick up normally, but I think we know where we're at. And I've sort of already outlined this, and clearly we are in the black. We are, I promise you, Liz, we are well suited budget wise. And so it is something that we can't afford. The school will provide cold water stations, but we need to muster together caregivers and families to be the water pourers or the water fillers. So we have a little group of folks that just were rotating water in and out. Folks lending lawn games. We've already got some tents. I believe Peter has volunteered some tents. Michelle, you volunteered a tent, I believe. I've got a 5x7.
I need to set up my tent and make sure it is working. Assuming my tent is working, you can use my tent.
We will take it, working or not.
All right.
So I think in the 10th place we might be good, but I think we just need to, Liz, confirm with Peter how many he thinks he has access to. But we do need volunteers for the games. Whether the games are provided by the families, which typically is how it goes, and then other people staff it, and then we just return it to them. So what you're going to find for me, Dave, is another Google form, because you know how much I live in Google, asking for volunteers to sign up for slots. Here is where we're going to. Last year we had the Jolly Pops. Jolly Pops, do you remember the Jolly Pops? There was a Bancroft family that had a member in that band, and they cut us a pretty good deal. We paid $300 for the set. And they played for about 45 minutes of time. Plus they let us use their PA, so that was like tremendous. This year, I've reached out to the DJ who played at the teachers' strike site. Because the DJ came out and we hosted, or the teachers had a home base, and the teachers, this was your grill out time, I believe. It was the grill out day. And so Mr. L had a contact who freebied a DJ session. So it was great. Everyone danced and sang and did their stuff. And who doesn't like a DJ? I would like to support the DJ for that. And also, rather than having a band this year, we still have access to a PA. We'll have some music. If we're all looking at that back window, the DJ is a black top on the left here, so that there's some separation, so that there's not noise. You know, the playground is going to be the quiet area. And then the DJ is on the black side. So, and the fee normally isn't $500, so that's the best I can negotiate. I'm not too big of a negotiator, so that's the best I can do in terms of negotiating price. I did want to be fair, but I did also help let that person understand we are, after all, PTO. This isn't a wedding, and it's really just ambiance and excitement and get people sort of singing and dancing. We were thinking about community outreach. None of that has really panned out much, so I'm still open to that in this next week if there are community outreach. Last year I brought in National Karate to give the demo. We could do another martial arts group that's in the area. If they want to do a demo. It was kind of neat because they did a little 10-minute class. The kids sort of followed suit, and then one of their black belters did like a 5-minute solo, and there was a big hurrah. So it was another, again, it was just, you know, a community building thing. So having said that, are there any questions? And you can see this, I remember asking for money, but are there any questions or ideas? Knowing that we may not necessarily hammer it all out now, but I am bringing volunteers to help hash details out over the course of this week. I had to spend some time on Tuesday. But any questions from the floor or any questions online?
What time is this happening?
Thank you. 5 to 7 on Tuesday. So it's about, it'll start as soon as dismissal is technically done. Diego wanted to have some buffer. Dismissal is technically 4:30, but sometimes it runs a little long. So we're using 4:30 as our setup time so that we don't interfere with bus lanes or parent pickup. So food trucks won't arrive any earlier than 4:30. And then in terms of us setting up our tents or whatnot, post 4:30. Any other questions or comments from the floor?
$500 for music feels steep.
Yes.
Fair statement, absolutely.
So for DJ fee, it seems standard. If you're going DJ,
I mean,
a professional.
is there not a big speaker in the school and an iPod?
No.
I know a place where you can rent a really, really powerful speaker.
Yeah.
For like a couple $100. It's like Robbinsdale. And then you just make the DJ.
Is it EMI?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know EMI.
And then
Yeah.
you can DJ your iPod.
Yep.
Could we consider purchasing, like, I know there's those, like the little cube one, not little, like it's a fairly large cube and it projects quite loudly. I'm a teacher at Washburn and we used that during our strike and we were able to project quite a bit and they're like $100 at Costco. You just set up a.
That's a fair statement. So all good options. The school has a PA. It's just not the greatest.
It's terrible.
Bingo, it was really hard.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Bingo was awful.
I know, but it's like, that's what we
Well,
have.
and promotion, I mean, we need it, that's on our wish list.
Yeah. So there's that. So, okay, so I think we're in agreement as a group. Self-source is not a deal. The rental is a great idea.
Sorry, can I interrupt from online for a minute?
Go ahead,
Just
Michelle.
one thing I was curious about, how loud are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about like Jolly Pops last year. Do you remember what that experience was?
Overwhelming. So I'm wondering how much of a separation we can or should have from the music to everything else that's going on, or if we want to, because we were talking about like we can get a speaker that plays really loud, and I'm like, I mean, especially if kids are like at speaker height, it's not necessarily so great for the kids to have loud music.
It's a fair statement, and that certainly is open to discussion. I think if we're going to back off a little bit because I'm being mindful of time here, this is probably a topic. Michelle, are you willing to? Can we discuss with other folks offline outside of this meeting? I think
that's totally fine. It's just as long as it was being kicked around, I was like, I just wanted to bring that up. I mean, you know, my kids are going to run away from anything loud. So.
Yeah, no, I understand. We kicked around the idea of purchasing in the past, and there were reasons to not. And so I don't know if that's necessarily something's viable at this point in time for us.
I know we discussed purchasing one at Washburn instead of using the PA, just because it takes a little bit more time to set up and having it available for things like this as well.
No, absolutely. I hear you on that. During strike, frankly, for those of us that were in the discussions at the time, talked about, and for various reasons decided against making our own purchase to supplement what the school had. So I don't know if I'm ready to reopen that at this point. And then for down the road, I am interested in fundraising a PA for the gym. So that is something that I would like PTO to sort of tackle in some which way that's substantially functional, not just not just a bare improvement over what we got, but something that is, now we're talking infrastructure. And we even had a very brief discussion about it, and so I was going to save that for September, frankly, when we have our new population in with new folks. Yes, Shannon.
Yeah, I don't want to make this like you say potato, I say potato conversation, but and I also don't want to I want to be sensitive that there's probably some special, like some kids that have other different issues than a lot of other kids, right? That might be sensitive to music, but I mean, you know, I just want to say some of it's cultural, you know, but you know, my kids love music.
Yeah.
They love loud music, they love dancing to it, they love whatever. So I just want to just be clear that there's also other perspectives in the room around that, so.
No, absolutely, I understand. Yeah, thank you for that, for the comment. And then just to address the rental, the only reason why I'm personally leaning against rental is I don't want to be the driver. You know, it's nice to bring somebody in to just provide a service. And so that's, but an EMI is great. Absolutely, I hear you. Yes.
Just the last thing is like a DJ, it does take a lot to mix music and keep it playing, and so. In my, I'm like, yeah, take that and run DJs, but it is a lot of.
So what, I'm gonna amend the question, I am gonna bring this to a close, just because we're really out of time at this point, I'm sorry, but again, I appreciate everybody's patience, I appreciate your patience. I'm gonna amend the vote, I'm gonna pass two questions. The first question, $250 to support the popcorn fund for this event. Ayes, nays, 1 for yes, 2 for no online. That's the question on the floor, $250. That the school normally funds, we're going to pick up the cost this time. The ayes, please.
Aye. Very good.
The nays, please.
I'm running one of those machines.
And then, I don't know, was there a vote online? I didn't, let me just do a quick look.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah, oh yeah, I see it. Yeah. Great, thank you. So that passes, so we're solid there. We will have popcorn. Thank you very much for that. Okay, what I will amend, $500 has been suggested as the fee. The response has been that it's a little high for music. We did spend $300 last year. So I am going to go with historical with A, and then B, just because PTO has a history, we did technically pass a $300 fee 2 meetings ago. You can tell this is a long simmering thing. So could we reaffirm, for the full transparency, could we reaffirm a $300 budget, and then we're going to work with some folks. You certainly, Chana, you're welcome, Michelle.
I was like, can I call the DJ and be like, come now?
Yeah.
Come on, we're talking 2 hours.
So can I reaffirm $300?
For kids, come on, I mean,
come on.
So that is your, because I'm adjusting the vote, I do want to give people a chance to sort of talk back. Other than those two. Okay, so the vote now is pass a $300 budget for music in whatever form it might make, whether it's we convince Charlie Potts to come back and nobody's here anymore, or a DJ or something. We'll figure it out. And then we will bear in mind people love loud music and people don't necessarily love loud music. So finding a balance that might be better than the balance we had last year. So 1 for yes, 2 for no online. Let me hear the ayes, please.
Aye.
Let me hear the nays, please. Okay, great, thank you. I think just at least having an active approved budget is enough for me to make some forward motion on this. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, dinner break. Yeah, we're there. Okay, this is going to be really quick. So Dana is the contact, the person who has connected us with Nuhu, who is a subject matter expert that we have brought in today on restorative practices. Now, I'll be fully transparent. A part of the discussion is coming out of our family's experiences in our classroom and wanting to sort of mitigate, just the way things are going in our classroom. But what it opened the door to was, is this something that could be useful to the school at large? We are looking at the notion of faculty development, staff development time in this regard. But our PTO, I am sort of focusing our effort right now strictly on family-facing workshop on restorative practices. So we're not tackling the professional development because we don't have Diego at the table to make that discussion right now. So as you can sort of read, New, I'm going to do a really quick intro. I hope this is correct, because it's from online. Brooklyn Center District's Equity Coordinator. He's going to introduce the concept to us. The goal, again, full transparency. My goal here is to help us as a PTO find an understanding so that we can take this effort in the fall and see if it's something that our families would participate in, would find value in, and take part in. Basically, what we're looking at is kind of a pseudo-long simmer. Rather than just throwing a workshop on a piece of poster on a wall and say, come to this workshop, I'm wanting that we, as PTO, the active folks, sort of have an understanding so that we can talk the talk and understand what's happening. And then in the fall, find a way to make a workshop happen that faces our families. And then for faculty development, it's a separate effort altogether. Having said that, I'm going to now relinquish the floor. Nuhu, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Just so you know, that's the microphone.
I have a decent amount. I got it. I've only been out of the classroom for 6 years, so I still got a little bit of it. Well, thank you all. It's a pleasure just to be in the space with you. I know multiple people in the room through like random and purposeful connections, and one of my best friends lives across the street, and her daughter went here for kindergarten, and it's just like I've always seen this building, but I've never been able to be in it. And when Dana asked me to come to speak about restorative practices, I was like, yeah, of course, that would be awesome, especially if it's something that people are looking to invest in, not in sort of a moment, but a change in ideology, a change in mindset, a change in lifestyle. So I wanted to just say a little bit about my belief in what restorative work is, and then just take us through an exercise. It'll take about 5 to 7 minutes. So my first question is, do people have access to writing utensils, or if you do not use a utensil to write, do you have access to something to get your thoughts out? Because, you know, sometimes people don't write, people draw, people just think, people just, you know, do hand puppets, and you do whatever you need to do that fits your learning style or your responding style. So as that's happening, I'll just say that I, as the Director of Equity for Brooklyn Center Community Schools, and as a person, I was an equity teacher in Osseo for 6 years. I have been living equity and restorative work for the better part of my life. It's been my life's mission to do and be in the tensions, the healthy and the hard tensions of this work. I believe that you can't go into any of this without saying, I'm actively going to change parts about myself that I don't want to change. I'm going to change things. I'm going to change the way that I think about things because it's right for the sake of justice, for the sake of love, for the sake of community, for the sake of making the world a better place. And going through that process of deciding to give something that you may have been cultivating for years, to sort of give that up and transform into something different is very difficult. It's a choice that everybody has to sign up for, and it's a commitment that we have to make for the rest of our lives. And so the ask of me in this moment is for you to be present in trying to do something different, trying to be vulnerable in ways you may not have been vulnerable before. And then as we continue, we'll just extrapolate that out. I don't think that you come to a place and say, restore. We don't just get to restore harm. You build meaningful, loving, healthy, vulnerable communities that have the ability to heal themselves when harm happens. The way that you do that is through what I think are just basic tenets of humanity that get lost in education. Simple things like saying, how are you every day? Checking in when someone's emotional energy feels off. Intentionally putting things in your lesson plan or in your family everyday practice that offers as a check-in for people to say, I don't feel comfortable doing this. I'm scared engaging in this. this may be too much for me, or I like this, I really enjoy this, I want to do more of this. You create an environment where people feel vulnerable sharing the things that they want to share. And so when incidents do happen, when a harm is caused, that people feel like they can use their voice to tell you what took place. You feel like you can use your voice to say either how you harmed or how things can be repaired. And then you have the ability, because the environment has already been created, to do something different. If we come at it from a different vantage point, then what's going to happen is we end up in this cycle of trying to fix things. But if you think that you're going to come in and fix something and you don't understand how it was broken in the first place, you're probably just going to make more of a mess. And so I believe that this work is an investment in changing and challenging who and how we are in a way that embodies an intersectional ethic. What I mean by that is all of us have multiple visible and invisible identities along the lines of race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic, class, religion, ability, language. I could probably continue on and on and on, but they are ever present everywhere we go. And oftentimes when a situation occurs, one of our identities, whether it is visible or invisible, gets silenced or becomes marginalized. And we have to take up the practice of creating space where all of our lived experiences and our identities can be held at the same time, along with others. And so that is how I enter into this work with you all. And what I'd like you to do is invest in a few minutes of just exploring some aspects of your identity and lived experience. And here's my question. What is one thing about yourself that you wish people asked you about more often? What is one thing about yourself that you wish people would ask you about more often? I'll just repeat it one more time. What is one thing about yourself that you wish people would ask you about more often? We'll just give 3 minutes here, and then I'll give some further instruction. Two more minutes. One more minute. Okay, as you finish up, I'd just like you to rise if you feel comfortable, find someone in the room that you do not get to speak with often. And if that's just everybody in the room, then that'll be easy. And just take up the space. Let's take about 5 minutes. Find your partner, answer, tell your partner your response to this question and why. So find someone, go to a space in the room. My Zoom friends, we can do this right here. And your response to the question and why. Why would you wish someone would ask you about that thing more often?
Sure, we can do
There's only one. Oh. Okay. When we come back, I will derail this. Sorry, I was going to tell you, everybody's got to participate. What is one thing you wish people would ask you? What is one thing about yourself you wish people would ask you? So, for me, it's my and what I mean by that is not asking the person like why, because for me, it was, I've always based my life decisions and ambitions that I have that are really focused on like Afro-diaspora dream, because I'm a product of slaves. I don't know where people come from. I know a continent that's a really big continent. And so it's really important to me to travel to as many places that I actually can prosper, where my ancestors are shipped to, or where they come from. And a way to embody things that I just dip my head in books and emotions and rivers. But no one ever asked me that. And I don't think anyone ever did. But I wish.
It's really. First people actually ask me more about like I mean, it is like I don't have a list of nerds that's like in my mind. It's all the time. Yeah. And that's me. Every time I mention the glass show, she told me about her.
And I finally was like,
But even in that person never really see your perspective. Not even, like someone over here, like, hey, arguing about this thing. How do you work? How do you About 2 more minutes. One more minute. All right, come back together.
Are we okay to go over?
Well, actually, I didn't All right, folks, come on back in the ways that you are able.
And then just so you all understand, I don't want to break the mood. I'm only going to ask for 30 seconds, 45 seconds after new move's done. And we'll wrap with a 45-second review. But otherwise, stay in the mood.
So the reason why I wanted you all to invest in this activity is, well, multiple reasons. One, it takes a lot for people to feel like they are seen and valued. And when you are seen and valued, and a lot of issues that come up become so much easier to solve. But you can't do that until you build that community. And building that community takes a consistent effort to figure out who is with you. How do you go through the world? Like, what happens to you when you leave this building, or you leave your house, you get out of your car? What are you afraid of? Like, what are you excited about? What stimulates you in all the ways? And let's just have all that at the table at the same time. And let's cultivate that. And then, if something does happen, like I said before, we know the people we're trying to fix it with. So many people in education come into a classroom and you're told, manage a body. Manage it, manage it, manage it. We don't manage bodies. This is not a plantation. We build communities with people. We work with people, even if you're from pre-K to P16, whatever it is, and beyond. We are working with people who have unique and beautiful and scary and wonderful experiences in the world. So we have to take time to get to know them so that when we try to institute a strategy, it has a higher % chance of working. And so I would just like to hear from one or two people, like, what was the experience like for you?
It was initially terrifying, and then we discovered we had a lot in common in what we actually wrote down.
All right. Beautiful. One more voice.
It was nice to have a connection with someone that I hadn't talked to before. So even just that ice-breaking moment of starting to see each other and say hello.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing. So from my vantage point, this is how you engage in restorative work. You don't start at restore. You start at the hardest work, which is building that community. The restorative part becomes really easy if you know people, if you know families, if you know students and all their ups and downs and whatever it may be. If you know your children in ways that you may not know them, because I have a going on 2-year-old, and today she just kept grabbing my hair and pulling it back, and I was like, girl, will you please stop? And she's just laughing at me, and I'm like, you were changing every day. I'm like, you were so sweet yesterday, and now you're just pulling it back.
The investment pays off.
So, this is the type of work that I would hope to continue with, because, like I said, it takes a different type of investment. It takes what I like to call a vigorous relationship, a healthy intensity. Instead of like rigor and hard structure, it's a healthy intensity. And I think through that, we actually gain the ability to bring peace when chaos occurs. That's all I got. Is that official?
2 minutes.
So I am not, I'm not an officer, I don't work at this school, so I just put out, so I don't have to say all the things. So I can just be very transparent. I want us to partner with Nuhu and with his partner Hannah to bring this work to the school. Through for the families, but also for the people who work at the school, because as we all know, and maybe folks don't know the numbers, this school has 60% of the families here are new. We lost 40% of the families that were here before are gone. These are children that a lot of our kids have been going to school with for years. They're just gone, right? This school is 3 blocks down from George Floyd Square, right? So to me, when I'm hearing stories about this little kid who's been in kindergarten with my son, so 3 years, they're buddies, and he's stabbing him with a pencil. What I love about the school is that kiddo wasn't kicked out of school or suspended or punished. He was received with love. But I also recognize that this needs to be spread further, this work, this restoring these relationships, building new relationships with new families and kids that are here. And so I'm gonna push like hell, and heck, I can, because I'm not on anything official, I'm just another parent. But I would really like for us to think creatively about how we can support this work. I did a garage sale this weekend, and I'm donating the funds to the Bancroft, either the PTO or the school, however we can start to pay for this. My husband's employer could match that donation. And so I'm just thinking creatively, from my position. And so this summer, if you have an ability to, think about how you might support some of this, get other parents involved, because this is really important work. And, we can do a workshop, or we could do 6 workshops throughout the year. We could, Hannah, your partner mentioned a coalition. I have chills thinking about it. A coalition with parents and staff, right, where we get time together to really work on that. And I don't know, I'd love to do something like that.
So, absolutely, I hear, absolutely, I'm sorry.
That's my 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, all good. And I appreciate that. The context is great. I think context is everything, frankly.
And we can do a workshop.
So, we are not going to tackle whether or not this occurs now. What this is intended to do is introduce the idea and get some conversation going on it, so that when we come back in the fall and reintroduce the idea again, there could be the deeper conversations. The point of the matter is this can get funded privately, no big deal. I mean, the PTO, first of all, could accept money for a specific thing, but it does nobody good if only 12 people show up. So the idea really is, if we're going to make effort here, how do we get buy-in, or how do we get people to be interested enough to think about buying in, so that they can then make their own decisions after having been exposed to it. And it's really the only kind of thing that, whether it's the 1 workshop or the 6 workshops or what have you. And we also know that from a faculty standpoint, they already do restorative practice, professional development. I mean, it's already in their system. I think the thing to highlight is the fact that being 60% new, we're a community that is just learning each other. So having some structure to the discovery of each other, I think, is probably going to be great. I'm going to leave it there. I want to say thank you very much for this. Thank you for this. I will just close out real quickly with this. Let's see if I can make this big. Everyone else will see it. I put out a survey to sort of measure our performance at PTO. First of all, I really want to say it's been an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have served and shared time and space with everyone who's here, who's new today, and everyone who's been coming back, and everyone online. And would you believe we get 30 people watching the recording? Yes. So, I mean, there are people that engage asynchronously with us. And so I want to say, this has been such a year, and you, our families, have stayed engaged. We put out this survey, and just real quick, what I want to get to, and I could share out the details on this, but what I want to get to is this. In terms of how people engage with us, they're engaging with us in many different ways. These are all the things I want PTO to be proud of. We accomplished those activities this year: the plant sale, the spiritware, the book sale, the 2 versions of bingos, the book drive. I mean, we were an active school, and that's great. But really the thing, we got some affirmation in terms of we're doing the things that our families want us to do. But here, I think, is the thing I really wanted to point out. Lead advocacy about issues. Now, I think what we've discovered is we don't have a very active site council right now. So a lot of what used to be site council activities, PTO is absorbing. Now, whether that continues or not, the point of the matter is there is interest from our families for us to be active in an advocacy kind of way. That's A. You'll also notice that people, families are looking for more involvement, integration, interaction with each other. So they are looking for the community that we haven't yet established, that we're still very brand new to.
Restorative justice, or justice.
Exactly, so that's exactly where this kind of work sort of sits. We've talked, for 2 years, we talked about cultural exchanges, which we just finally got off the ground this year. And we talked about our idea work, our diversity work, which has stalled pretty heavily, but I think now that the staff meetings are about to occur, there's a meeting tomorrow for those that are interested. We're going to maybe finally get to that. One of the things we introduced that we were trying to get done was a land acknowledgement specific to PTO, that now it's going to be a school land acknowledgement. But we haven't been able to get to doing the digging work. We've really only gotten acceptance of the idea, and I think it's important to get to work that. I think these are 31 out of 300 families, 300 households are school residents. So 10%, statistically, 10% is a good sample size. Right? So having said that, so having said that, and this, I'm glad you're laughing at that joke. I planned that joke for today. Because I just really want to say, again, you are our kids are the reason we're here, frankly. And you are doing the work that will allow us to achieve, that will allow our students to achieve. And I really appreciate that. And I really want to end this year strong going into the next year. And you all come back in September. And for some of you on the board, everyone who's actually about a bunch of emails. So over the summer, we're going to just be doing some emailing to see about activity, but we really do want everyone back. I'm saying this to the online people. We want all of you back to be active when we come back to the year. It's going to be year 2 for our community, and I think we're literally at the beginning, but we are doing a pretty darn good job.
It would be great too, I value that everybody's here, but it would be great too if the PTOs don't tend to look like the schools that they represent. And there's a lot of different reasons, like the kids in the school. So, it would be nice if PTO were like browner, and, just had some more Latinx representation, some more Native representation, some more Black representation, like all of that, like it is a very white space, and that's nothing new. I just want to, but that's problematic, we know that that's problematic, so that would be nice.
Yes, no, I think absolutely, and I am looking to other subject matter experts in that regard to make that work happen. So that's where we're at.
But thank you, Nicole, for all your work.
Okay, I am releasing you to the world and to your kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Hey, would you come to the place? Yeah.
Look, all the information. Staff needs. I want to really advance trying to it's not the same. This is a tool. But like this is how you reframe your interaction.
What I like about that book is that it's also like reframing your behavior. So I know your goodness.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I just want to advocate for, as far as, I'm both a teacher and mom. I think in order for things to stick, it has to be more than just no. And I think that's so often what happens. And if it's really going to be a transformation, then it needs to be longer term, and there's going to need to be a buy-in. There has to be that buy-in factor, and so,
That's my 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about financial. your time to take this. Because, PD side, everybody expects it to just be like, you can run the store.
Right. No, and when you go the next do something, it's like, no, it's like, so whether we start small, like start with some parents and some staff in order to build it, but we don't know, we get, I drink the Kool-Aid.
Well, and that's, and I totally agree with you. Like, there's, it has to create the best school.
Yeah, and I think,
You can't be, you have to have, it has to be, we can help you create something that's grassroots and yours. So, create an environment such that you can just, because, I mean, the majority of them probably say, you're not gonna fire them, you have to make them choose to go. It's not the type of work that really does.
And this is the process of shared understanding.
I